Hello and welcome to the Writer's Workshop with your host, Flutter Priest and a glass of milk.
Hi.
This week we are going to be reading, narrating, and reviewing Petunia, Paleo, and the Giant Coprolite. Or Coprolite. God damn it. Of course.
You keep adding the extra letter.
Yeah.
It sounds not there.
It's not. This story is literal shitposting. It was made aware to me after Biscuit was referenced in a Bad Horse blog on FimFiction. And of course, he then had to go and literally make a story about a picture of a piece of shit. So this story is teen, for reasons I couldn't possibly guess. Comedy, mystery, slice of life, tons of upvotes. And its description, Petunia Paleo makes a discovery in the Badlands which turns equestrian paleontology on its ear. The largest intact coprolite known to ponykind. So what do you think? What's your first impressions?
We are in from some serious shit.
God damn it. I fucking hate you a little bit. Jeez. Oh my god. Okay.
See, I get to make puns too.
No, you did good. You did good. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. We're gonna jump into the only chapter, the Badlands. Petunia Paleo and the Giant Coprolite. Admiral Biscuit. I don't like it when people include those in stories. I'm sorry. Alright. It sat in the foyer of Coprolite Paleontology Museum on top of smooth, white plinth, which could not detract from the magnitude of the specimen. Crystal lamps were discreetly mounted in the ceiling, highlighting its lumpy, smooth shape. Around the edge of the room, there were other fossils, small dioramas which illustrate an artist's representation of how Paleopony era might have looked, and helpful, informative placards which explained everything that was known or at least guessed at. And it drew curious visitors into the museum, for on sunny days, of which Camelot had many, the front doors of the museum were open, so any passerbys might see it and hopefully come in. Typically, once they've crossed the threshold, they were committed. They'd pony up a few bits for the admission tickets, then flock over to the display, and before they knew it, they were learning something, which was, after all, the purpose of the museum. The cashier's eyes followed the latest family as they trotted in to look at the display. The children, a unicorn filly and an earth pony colt, dashed over eagerly, their parents not far behind. The stallion was tucking his bit purse back into his vest, while the mare was keeping a watchful eye on both of her children, while simultaneously studying the environment around her. A talent which made the cashier, who had a full of her own, knew well. Invariably, after a brief examination, the foals would begin to guess at what it was. Sometimes they were right. Usually, they weren't. The cashier turned her eyes out into the street to watch for more potential patrons, but her ears were focused on the foyer, and after a good minute, the truth was revealed, followed by a moment of silence, and then an ew from the filly. But there wasn't just a bit of morbid fascination behind the noise of the disgust. The cashier thought so. What followed next was invariably speculation about why the museum would have done such a thing. Of course, the signs explained it, and by the time they'd made their way around the edge of the room and studied the dioramas, they'd see the nose of the skeleton beckoning them from the next room, and move deeper into the bowels of the museum, until they finally reached the gift shop, conveniently located right next to the exit. The past. Petunia Paleo stood at the edge of the excavation and wiped a bit of sweat off her forehead. As much as she loved the sun out here in the Badlands, it was a bit too bright, and water was just a little bit too scarce. And like any pony who had the misfortune to find herself out in the hindquarters of nowhere, she wished that Celestia could maybe dim it down just a little bit. But then she focused herself back on the task at hoof. The entire basin had turned out to be a veritable gold mine of fossils, And when she looked around at the parched, cracked earth, when she saw a prehistoric swamp, some weather cataclysm back in the distant past had turned what was once a fertile valley into a wasteland, but it had left plenty of evidence behind. She made her way carefully down the rickety stairs that led to the base of the trench. They were cobbled together out of planks from packing crates, because that was the only wood that they had. What had been intended as a shallow excavation had gotten deeper and deeper as it yielded forth the secrets of the past. The entire area was covered in a grid of twine, looking like some deranged earth ponies attempted a garden. Petunia knew it was vitally important to know exactly where each and every fossil piece had come from, so that they could be put together in the correct order. And by its depth, they could estimate the age. And they were deep now, possibly moving into the realm of the unknown. Every discovery that she made could shake the very foundations of equestrian paleontology. This was what she was born for. She crouched at the depths of the pit, her tools a small trowel and a stiff brush, and scraped through another millennium worth of dirt. Each small scoop of soil was dumped into a bucket, and later on it would be hoisted up out of the pit and run through a screen to make sure no bone fragments had been missed. It had taken her 2 weeks of careful excavation, but at last her prize was revealed to the sun for the first time in millions of years. It was no secret what it was, of course. Everyone on the team had gone to the edge and looked down at it, and Petunia worked patiently to reveal it, like an artist revealing her masterpiece for the first time. And she hadn't worked alone either. A crew of laborers from Appaloosa, hardy stallions who were used to hard work in unfavorable conditions, had worked around the edges and once knew what she had found. But even she hadn't expected it to be so big. No pony had ever found a Coprolite this size, nor did any pony back at the university have an idea of what it might have come from. A dragon, perhaps, an elder worm that ponies had never seen, that was a possibility. Or could it have been some as yet undiscovered species of dinosaur? Or perhaps even some ancient race of giant ponies? That would be a mystery to solve later. Perhaps whatever left this behind was also preserved nearby. As she worked, Petunia studied the stone surface intently, for there were small impressions of plant matter forever frozen in the Coprolite. Plants whose final end had perhaps been ignominious? Fuck. Ignominious. Or perhaps not, because here they were, millions of years later. She dusted off her hooves and made her way back up the shaky staircase, which, despite some emergency bracing, was slowly disintegrating. And she accepted the congratulations and slaps on the back from all the other ponies on the team, and the mug of water which was pressed into her hooves in lieu of champagne. She gulped down the water in one gulp, then held out the mug, and it was refilled almost instantly from a waiting canteen. And then she turned and put her hooves up on the flimsy barricade keeping ponies from falling into excavation and gazed upon her discovery. "That's the biggest turd Equestria's ever seen," she said proudly. Oh, and of course then, for an author's note, Petunia Paleo is actually from Season 6 and is actually a real pony. And explained that Coprolite is fossilized poop. And then if you click the bad horse link, it shows that if I said that if Admiral didn't do it, I would have. So, of course, here we are. This is my contribution. So, what do you think of this piece of shit?
It's literally shit. No, it's the amount of description that went into this to avoid anybody from figuring out what Coprolite is just amazing.
Oh,
the fact that he described poop in so many different ways to avoid it being called poop is pretty fucking cool.
Or like the rear end of Equestria or something like that. Like there was little hints to it throughout. I think maybe the prose was too sophisticated, but it points that added to the humor. It's just like, oh, here's this word that people don't normally ever use, and it sounds sophisticated. And then it just ends with the biggest turd ever. This is good. This is a good story. Like, no matter what way you spell it, and people call it literal shitposting, this was really good.
Yeah.
Nice, pleasant little turd fic. Lowbrow humor in a highbrow way.
Implying ponies can be highbrow.
They can get off their high horse.
Oh.
Okay. Do you have anything to add about this? Because this was just good. I don't have anything mean to say about this. I don't have any critiques. I don't have... If I had the chance, I probably wouldn't write this the same way, but then connecting it to Petunia Paleo is really smart.
What was the one word that we used? I don't...
that one word.
Ignominious.
Ignominious.
Ignominious. I don't know if that's used properly there.
Ignominious. Deserving or causing public disgrace or shame.
Yeah.
Ignominious.
Plans finally had perhaps been public shame. I mean, that doesn't quite make it... Well, you know what? Being shit out from a dinosaur would be pretty shaming. I guess in that manner it does.
Plants whose final end had perhaps been ignominious. Shameful. Or perhaps not, because here they were millions of years later. So yeah, I can understand that. I can understand the use there, but it was humorous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was good. We have a good story on here for once. Wait, oh no, that's not what I meant. Just I don't have anything critique-wise to say. Biscuit, you're a good writer, so people should look to this as an example of good comedy writing. So that said, that's all we got. Thank you for watching this edition of Writer's Workshop. Hope you tune in next week. Or don't.